Your life becomes better when you start becoming a kid again, when you're older, and when you start seeing your life a little bit more like a movie. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Career Pack Podcast. My name's Neil Patel. I'm the host of this podcast. And on this pod, I combine creativity and impact and hope to give a little bit more than I can get. I talk about all things self love, learning to accept myself, talk the journey of becoming a creator, being South Asian at that, and a couple bite sized nuggets of learnings that I learn in my day to day. I share it. And the goal was to do a podcast for 365 days straight. We're currently on day 265, which look at that. It's exactly 100 days left to go of doing a daily podcast. So I'm excited. I'm grateful for anyone who has ever listened. And speaking of that, I have it's not a big announcement, but it's a big announcement to me. Yesterday, I posted a short about a video that I made. It was I made an episode about the black dot theory and how we focus on the black dot in a sea of white, and that black dot being the negative. I posted a short about it, and I got like almost 2,000 views. And yeah, a lot of people had some controversial takes on it. But I'll get to that a little bit later. But as a result of that, we got 7 new subscribers and a lot more traffic to the YouTube channel than has ever I've never had this much traffic come in on the YouTube channel, so I appreciate that. So anyone who is new and is listening, welcome. But yeah, that's all I really want to say in terms of the announcements. We have 8 new subscribers actually. Let's get into what I really wanted to chat about today. The first one is being a kid again. I've tried to be a kid again. And as someone who I recently am unemployed, don't get me wrong, I'm still looking for jobs. But honestly, all day I'm home and I get to spend time with my grandma who's over here cooking, and I get to make podcasts. I get to make videos. Not making any money from it, but luckily I've saved up a decent amount from my job. But it's nice to have a break where I could just sit at home and make videos and feel like a kid again. When I was little, I would always run around the house, play with my little cars. I had a car collection that was like 70 to 80 cars. I loved garbage trucks, so every Thursday I would wake up at like 6:30 in the morning, look at garbage trucks outside all throughout the day until 1 or 2 p.m. I went outside, I played a lot, and I've been trying to incorporate that more into my daily life because nowadays what is fun for me is doing these podcasts, going for a walk, spending time with my grandma, watching YouTube videos, which YouTube videos I've done regardless. But I'm just trying to incorporate more things into my life that don't feel so like pressure packed, because the older we get, we have more responsibilities, you take on accountability, you have bills to pay, you have future expectations of your life and what you want to do, your career, what your next step is, what your path is. And I just turned 22 this past July, and ever since I turned 22, I've been having this weird feeling that, oh my god, I am getting old. Like I have to really really start figuring things out. And I've put a lot of pressure on myself as a result of that, especially now since I don't have a job or whatever and I'm doing this most of the time throughout my day. I've put a lot of pressure on myself. So doing things and finding things that genuinely give me the feeling of being a kid again, I love. When I'm editing videos, I feel like a kid. I feel like I'm just like creating my own little painting in my art. And although I suck at editing, don't get me wrong. I suck at it. I'm a complete beginner, but just putting together those little puzzle pieces, figuring out what music to use, figuring out what transitions to use, how to convey a message. It's such a big learning process that it's fun. And I would much rather spend my time doing that than at a job. But I'm not delusional and I need to find a job. I want to find a job though in like a creative field, like a production assistant, something around like being on set, helping people, filming things, figuring out angles, set design, sound engineering. There's so much in that world of production that I'm super into, and I think it would also give me a big boost with learning about cameras and video making, psychology behind it. That's all I really have to say about being a kid. If you're someone out there who's listening, try being a kid more. Do things that you would do as a kid and the things that you were obsessed with as a kid. Now, if that's Toys R Us, maybe that's not such a good thing. Well, by the way, Toys R Us did go out of business like a really, really long time ago. My dad would take me to Toys R Us like once every couple weeks and I would get some toys from there. Honestly, a sad story that they just went bankrupt. Point being, The thing that you did as a kid that felt so effortless and you genuinely enjoyed, figure out what similarities you can find in your day-to-day life that bring the same amount of happiness and joy that it brought you when you were a kid, and do a little bit more of that. The next thing I want to talk about is your life feeling like a movie. I've tried to tell myself that I am the main character in this whole movie of mine. And when I say movie, I just mean your life. I get to create it the way that I want. I get to be the main character in it. I get to develop how the characters progress throughout a lifetime. What traits do they acquire? What events do they go through? What do they see? What do they experience? Where do they travel? Who do they meet as a life partner? Who leaves their life? Who dies and leaves? What career, what purpose does this main character have? And I think when you start looking at your life like a movie, like, you know how in the movie you have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end, you have those moments of tension, you have the climax, you have the part of the movie where like things start to like plateau, but then you have like something big happen and then it plateaus again. And it's just like this up and down feeling of emotions that a movie creates. I think that's honestly what life is, because you pair it with like different seasons in your life. And a certain season, you learn something, you attain something, and then you take those learnings, you go to the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter until one day it's all just over. The biggest lesson in viewing your life as a movie is that you are in complete control. There is no one else that is in control of your movie other than you. You are the writer of your own script. You are the writer of your own book. Kevin Hart, once on a podcast, said that every part of your life is a chapter, and every chapter has its own story, has its own meaning, and has its own purpose behind why that chapter was curated in the first place. And he said that he looks at his life like a big book filled with a bunch of chapters. And I really love that analogy. And I think it could be the same analogy applied to looking at your life like a movie. This applies to me a little bit more because I make, videos and do podcasts for not for a living, cuz again, I don't make money from it. Look at your life like a movie. I don't know if any of that stuff that I just made sense about looking at your life like a movie made sense, but I hope it did, because you are in complete control. No one else is going to like curate the climax for you or curate the story and direct it and produce it for you other than like yourself. It's just you. All right. So just take that and run with it. And the last thing that I'll say, which feels honestly really good, and maybe this is just me making myself feel good, my ego getting a little bit of boost. It's this: the people that you haven't seen in years, and the kids that you, or not kids, the friends that you haven't talked to since like high school, and you haven't said anything to them, they don't even know what you're up to. When they hit you up, giving you love and showing you love for something that you are doing, that genuinely feels so good. Like, it makes me feel so fulfilled in anything that I'm doing, because how many times, like, I'm not saying that the people who are listening, like, a majority of the people who are listening probably aren't in high school, but if you like are in high school, I'm sure you have a lot of friends, right? You have a lot of people that you hang out with on a normal basis. You consider them your friends, your best friends, whatever. And then the people who are out of high school that are like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe 10 years removed out of high school. How many times, like, what are the odds? When really do you still talk to a friend of yours that you knew in high school? The chances of that for a majority of people, I think, are pretty low. High school friends, they're there and then they go. I don't have many friends from high school that I still talk to. Maybe maybe like one or two, that's it. But of all those people that just like get removed from your life, they were there during that season in your life during high school, and then they're just gone. When they hit you up and they're like, "Hey, I appreciate what you do. I love your work. Keep at it." That feels so good, because they probably haven't reached out to friends that they knew in high school either. It's only when they see someone they did know from the past doing something that they actually like and feel some sort of emotion, some sort of connection to it, that they feel the need to like want to reach out. And I'm the same way. Whenever I see any of my friends that I knew from high school that are doing something really, really cool, are building something, have a big accomplishment, they get engaged, get married, have something cool happen in their life, I'll reach out and show some love, because that's just a reminder that, yo, I'm thinking about you. Reach out to your high school friends, man, and see how they're doing, because it'll help them out. I honestly think so. You never know what people are going through. So I'm going to make it a priority to reach out to high school friends a little bit more. And especially when those people that you haven't seen in a long time show love, it feels good. And the last thing I'll say, this is a bonus thing. This is funny because at the beginning of the pod, I told you all that I would talk about the black dot theory one more time. And the reason I want to talk about it is because of all the people that did like it and did comment. I had about like 13 to 15 comments on it. And those comments were really funny because I don't think I gave enough context in that video to like what it really meant. Most of the people, they were just like, what if it was a white dot? Like, nah, this is racist. Or like, what if the black dot was actually a positive thing? Like, this is such just a generic wisdom lesson that was used to like give that other person a piece of advice. So basically they're saying it was like a fluke, and a couple people understood it, but I feel like a majority of the people who did like it or comment on it, they were just like a little bit confused. And all that said, all the people who did comment, I just commented back, giving a little bit more context and like showing love. I want more hate. Yeah, that's a really controversial statement. And the reason I say I want more hate and want more, I guess, cynical people, critical people about anything that I say or post, because for one, I'm posting my thoughts out on the internet. And if I'm posting things that don't spark some sort of, I guess, controversy or don't spark some sort of engagement with anything that I post, I don't think it's necessarily the most useful pieces of content. That you can spark controversy and great debates and great conversation with good good statements and good things, but I feel like there's a lot of things in the world that you can say and speak the truth, like speak your truth behind it, that would spark a little bit more critiques from the world. And I heard this great saying by Ty Lopez. If you guys don't know who Ty Lopez is, he's a huge serial entrepreneur, built multiple businesses, made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Dude might be a billionaire, who the hell knows. But he said 80% of your followers should love you and 20% should hate you. And he said that's the percentage split that he's tried to keep with all of his audience and his content. And he said if you don't have people that like genuinely hate you or like are critical of everything that you put out, then you should like reevaluate things that you were saying and the things that you're doing. Because the statement like all publicity is good publicity. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think it's good to have a portion of people that like genuinely hate you, because those are the people that really build the biggest empires and brands, personal brands. I wonder what you guys' thoughts on this are. I don't know if this is like accurate or not, or even if it's a viable thing to think about or worry about. I think it's good to consider, because think about the biggest public figures in the world. You take your Elons, you take your Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerbergs, Joe Rogan, you take, I don't know, people like a Ben Shapiro, Ty Lopez obviously is one of them, Jordan Peterson. So many people that post their thoughts out on the internet. They speak their truth from their learnings and what they know. And a part of their audience completely hates them and they completely disagree with some of the controversial things that they say. And some of the things they say, it's like harsh realities, harsh truths to the world that people don't really want to digest and take in, because they just think that, oh, this person's being misogynistic, this person's being a right winger, a left winger, they're too extreme. And that gets people talking. And I think that's like, it gets people talking, but it makes that person more money, more attention, more engagement, more fame. Not saying I'm doing it for those purposes, or I or I want to do it for those purposes. I honestly just want to do it, or like I have that thought because it's smart on the business side. That's it. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that too much further. That's all I really have that I wanted to say today. We are 100 days away from completing this 365-day challenge, which I am extremely excited to work towards and complete, and see how much more growth we can have the next 100 days. So if you're someone who is listening to this for the first time, welcome. And if you've been listening, I appreciate you. And like I always say, take care, tell someone that you love them, and go do something nice for someone today, because they genuinely deserve it. You guys can follow me on all socials, Korea Pack Podcast. Share this with a friend. Leave me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star review. I would appreciate that a ton. All honesty is warranted. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.